It is 2024, which means it's been 12 years since I started calling myself a filmmaker. That is an awkwardly long time. And this world of filmmaking looks very, very, very different. It's never been more accessible. There's never been more different ways to distribute your abilities to present yourself. But with all these changes in what social media means and everything else in filmmaking today, I always ask myself, what does it mean to be a filmmaker in 2024? So today, let's not worry about lighting. Let's not worry about camera gear or our settings or whatever. But let's just take a moment and ask ourselves that question so we can identify who we are and who we want to be. I've always found the first step in anything is you just need to sit down and ask yourself, what the hell am I? And it's not as easy as just saying I am a filmmaker, because that's just the first step. The reality is that filmmaking is such a broad world, really. I mean, a baseball player wouldn't just say they're an athlete, they would say they're a baseball player. Hell, they would say they're a shortstop or a pitcher. And it's still something that I even struggle with on a day-to-day basis. Because identity really is one of the hardest things, because it's something we want to hold so closely, but at the same time, you probably feel like an imposter every time you hold a camera. I know I do. But the fact of the matter is, you got to take the time, especially nowadays, to say, who am I and what am I doing? Are you a narrative-based filmmaker that wants to work in more staged environments, that wants to work with actors? Are you somebody that wants to stay maybe in music videos or be closer to the entertainment world? Or maybe documentaries and real life stories are the things that get you going and the things that bring you that success and that happiness. Do you want to be someone that is on the camera, that is in control of the setting, the styling and the lighting, and just really fascinated by the technical aspects of filmmaking? Or do you want to step back from the camera and work with actors and orchestrate a crew? It is important to make that distinction, because the second you do, one, you start to feel at home. You start to feel more in the place that you want to be, and the work you do starts to be more directed at the end goal you want to be. In 2024, I call myself a narrative-based filmmaker focusing on narrative films and documentary films. At least that's how I advertise myself. And contrary to everything I just told you now, that in itself isn't that specific. Am I somebody who just wants to do shorts? Am I somebody that wants to do features? Or do I just want to stay in the documentary world? So I myself am hoping that by the end of this year, I can hone that in a little bit more and find out, hey man, what are you? What do you want to do? And how am I going to just feverishly chase that goal with complete conviction? I think the other thing you have to realize, especially now, is that, and this is the tough one, but you're far from the only one doing this. Long gone are the days where rentals were your only option. The camera market is seemingly growing exponentially. And it's insane to think that some of the movies you saw in the mid-2000s or the early 2010s that were shot on the apex of technology and filmmaking at the time, you can buy on Facebook Marketplace for a couple grand. And I get it. For some of us, yes, that is relatively cheap in the market we're in, but a couple $1,000s is still a couple $1,000. But even still, you can get completely fine functioning cinema cameras and lenses for under $2,000, or even less if you find used equipment. Even my Ursa Mini, my main workhorse, is a used camera. My most used lenses are rehouse vintage used lenses, and I am completely satisfied with both of those products. So yeah, distinguishing yourself amongst this bigger crowd, it's tough. It really is tough. But rather than get lost in this whole like, oh, this dude's a fraud, or this dude only does Instagram reels and TikTok, so like, man, or seeing people's work and wondering, wow, I should be there, I'm just as good as them. Rather, I think you need to kind of just be a little fortunate that you're in this age of filmmaking, that accessibility is available to you. Because there's a time where the only way to do this, you had to pay tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars for film school. You had to save up to buy or rent camera technology that was scarcely available. And that's the thing. Yes, you are not alone in your ability as a filmmaker, but think about that. You're not alone. There's a much broader community out there that wants to help each other, that wants to do things like, as simple as commenting on each other's Instagram reels or creating YouTube content just to share experiences and knowledge and a little bit of wisdom, or just a willingness to want to learn from each other. And when you follow these other successful YouTube channels that are really ingrained in filmmaking, you start to see that they're coming together. this space of social media in this new age and this new generation, we're a big number, but you'd be amazed that most of us just want to help each other. So yes, it is going to be hard to distinguish yourself. It is going to be tough to, tell a client that I'm good at this and you should hire me instead of someone else. But see the silver lining, hunt that good stuff, and realize you're not alone, and there are people that want to help you and that want to see you do better, be better. But I think also something you need to realize to caveat kind of everything I just said, it has become extremely easy to just post stuff online and say, here's something cool, but don't lose sight in this new generation of filmmaking about what it really means to be a filmmaker, and that's to be a storyteller. We're just in a new evolution of what cavemen and ye olden generations were doing when they sat around campfires or they sat at the dinner table and they talked about experiences. They were called moments, be it legends of old, of heroes, or people with these astounding feats, or simply just a little memory they had out farming, hunting, or with their children. It's just a recollection of the past or the wildness of our imaginations to bring people together and just engage with each other for just a little bit, just a moment. We are just simply the future of that same thing. It's just this thing right here, the camera and the lens, it's the new medium. And if you are a filmmaker in 2024, it's no different, because you are so much more than just an image collector. You are so much more than a guy that just knows to shoot in a certain codec at a certain resolution, that understands dynamic range and knows this, and that. Trust me, you're so much more than that. You are somebody that has the ability and the technology to compile media together and piece it together in a way that others are going to see it, and they're going to have that moment. They're going to engage with it. They're going to ask a friend, hey, what did you think about that? Or it's going to harken back to maybe a very peaceful memory that they can feel a little bit of catharsis or some joy from. Or maybe it makes them ask themselves a question and say, what is this thing I'm feeling? How do I confront it? Maybe it relates to something in my own life. Or maybe it's just more baseline and you're just able to give someone that moment of entertainment where they can separate themselves from this extremely hectic world and just escape for a moment and feel something else through the medium of storytelling. So never sell yourself short. You're more than just a guy posting their work on Instagram saying like my stuff and comment below. You're truly a storyteller. You're a craftsman who is telling stories, and you should be proud of that. And the last thing I want to say about what it means to be a filmmaker in 2024 is that there is multiple ways to get the job done. I think there is a shocking community out there that wants to bring down the, relevance of the many different ways you can get movies on now. There is more than one way to make your movie, to make a short film, to make a music video. You just have to learn how to be resourceful. You have to learn how to create that cinematic eye for yourself, that when you're just walking around, you're getting your breakfast or you're getting your coffee at your favorite shop and seeing things in a way that says, wow, that would look really good in a shot, or even better, that would look really good for a story I've always wanted to do. It's being able to see resources that are available to you and not comparing them to complacency, but rather maximizing what you have and saying, wow, that's something I could do. Heck, that's something I could do right now. And it is understanding that with all these different outlets and avenues that you could take in filmmaking, that really the most important part is just having the confidence to put your foot on the gas pedal. That's a big thing for me this year, as I'm trying to do a pretty ambitious science fiction short film. It's so close to being greenlit, because I said, Davis, you got to do this thing. You're at the point where you want to identify as a narrative film director, and it's time to really put more stock into that. Make it fact, make it undeniable that's who you are, and understand the different avenues I can go about doing this. And being gracious and understanding that I've spent years making relationships with people, making fond memories with people, and knowing that they also want this for me as well, and I want to support their dreams and futures. And maybe that is just a little Instagram reel or a YouTube video explaining how I shot this thing, or just a little bit of inspiration on what it means to shoot with no budget, what it means to shoot with this lens, What does it mean to try this lighting technique? Take advantage of these avenues. Take advantage of YouTube. Take advantage of Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Don't settle and don't ignore the environment around you. Leverage it, because accessibility means that there are less means of excuses. Yeah, I said a lot, probably rambled a lot. And I know some of you are thinking, who is this guy to tell me what the state of filmmaking is, or what does it mean to be a filmmaker in 2024? We all have wisdom. We all have knowledge to some degree. If you like what I'm talking about, don't let me be the only person that grants you knowledge. Seek knowledge from people who are different than you, who are different from the last person you saw talking. Get knowledge from so many different avenues of approach. Learn from that commercial DP who gets more of a high-key, more beauty kind of look. Learn from the dude who only uses natural light or knows how to turn around a project super quick. I think all of that is what it really means to be a filmmaker in 2024. To know that it might be tougher nowadays, but to identify yourself as who you are, but also understanding that there is a big old community out there that wants to be a part of your journey. Understanding that there are different avenues of approach for the projects that you want to create, but also understanding that it is very much on you to accelerate your own career and your own path, no matter what it is, whether it's narrative, documentary, music videos. You owe it to yourself to try to execute on a little bit what was talked about in this video and be that filmmaker you say you are. And I will end with this. If you right now are claiming yourself as a filmmaker, whether that's documentary or whatever that thing is, or you're still trying to figure it out, I still say you deserve to call yourself a filmmaker. You might still be finding that exact thing. You might still be trying to identify what you want to do in the world of filmmaking. And to you, I say, that's okay. And if you call yourself a filmmaker, welcome to the fold, buddy. Don't ever, for a second, lose faith in that title. And if anybody asks you in this year or any other year beyond this, what are you or who are you, then say with a little bit of confidence and a whole lot of conviction, I am a filmmaker. And I can't wait to hear what kind of filmmaker that you will become. I think I needed this a little bit myself to help understand some things. So thank you. It's been a pleasure having all of you on this journey with the Six Shop. I never thought I'd see the day where 4,000 people would actually like the words that are coming out of my mouth and actually get something out of it. So thank you all again. Hope to see you on the next one. Goodbye.